Very common is the knee shield, like a half guard. They get the knee blocking the chest, and there's different ways of understanding the angle of the knee dictates how I'm going to approach his guard. If his knee is more vertical, we can go leg on shoulder because there's a pathway there. If it's closer to the alignment of my hips, we sprawl and smash. But it's this halfway point, this 45-degree angle. It's constantly, it's kind of moving a lot. No matter which way we go, it kind of stays in this pocket. But as a consequence of this, there's a gap between his knees. So your hand's going to punch through there. And this is a variation of a common pass we do in here where you punch your hand down. You can control the pant or just put your fist to the mat. And then what you're doing from here is you want to get access to their sleeve. Once you get in here, drop and sprawl and head to the top of the shoulder. We extend out and start moving around. And as we move around, we open him up. Open the arms, the knees, and drive with the head to flatten him out. Bring the knee to the hip. This is the basis for this movement. What happens a lot when you get in here, punch the hand through, and it's not that hard to get access to the sleeve, but opening them up can be a challenge. We're taught everything is about, if you're on the bottom, compress, pull your elbows and knees in tight. It's harder now. It's going to be very challenging for me to open up. But as a consequence, I'm going to turn you this way, Professor Mark. Sorry guys, but what you're doing here, the top arm, you switch the grip. So now I feed his sleeve to the arm that's looped in. Once you get this, your primary objective, because he's still going to be kind of crunched in, is to not let him move his head and shoulders out. Because you'll start to feel it here, and then the guard kind of opens back up. As soon as you make this switch, collar grip, close to the shoulder. Once you're in here, now you're going to switch your base and drop your hip. From this point, even though he has a little bit of freedom with his legs, all your control is you've created a natural hook on his top leg. So whether Professor Mark pulls his leg out or I start to pass, your objective here, as soon as you get clearance, is pull the arm up. And you see what it does to his knees. Now you can just bring the knees in, open, and pass. You're coming in here, punch. Secure the grip first from the outside. It's going to be very challenging for you to try to grab it right away. You need the outside arm, this way. Pull it in, reach, and as you notice, as my thumb goes in, my weight goes forward and I drop my hip. Now right from here, and this is not really a fight at this point. I can use my bottom leg to start to pry out, anything, but anything that he does, Professor Mark starts to move, or worse, he tries to get up. This is like a steering wheel. You want to get his knees vertical and then block the inside hip with your knee. Then you can release and side control. You have your pass. Once we get here, don't drop your hip in front of his knee. Like, we're not doing this. This is too much space. When you reach, think of it like this. As your hand clamps, your hip is already dropping. This way. And now it's the fight to free the leg. Whether I do it, a lot of times when they, see his knee comes through, that's not a detriment right now. I take my leg out, start moving my hip up to clear this way. One thing that'll happen sometimes, he'll hold on to me. And once you clear, you notice, once you get on your side, if they fight too much here, this hand can now start tracking the kimura, start going after the outside arm. This will open up more opportunities to attack. But you're going to start right here, 45-degree angle, put some weight on against the chest. This hand punches through. We reach for this hand. No matter how he's positioning, it's not that hard to get this sleeve. And if I can open him up, great. But usually when you do this, see? Then we make the switch, drop the hip, and then control the top leg. That's all we're doing here. Once your leg is free, you can move your hip up, but this. And as his knees point up, lock the hip, and side control. Okay? Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if he can do it, but when you weave your arm, can he put his hip in and open his leg like this to off balance you, or how are you stopping that?
That's a great question. What this is, what you guys got to understand, is the vulnerability, like the kryptonite to this movement, is that if I'm not careful, I'm feeding him the lasso.
Mm-hmm.
So if my hand, this is kind of, it's a weird detail. If I punch my hand through and he holds a sleeve, and my hand points up, he pulls my wrist a little bit, this is full lasso. I go this way, he's going to be able to take me right over. When you punch this hand through, your hand has to go to the mat. Now he can pull tight. It's just the angle of your arm. Another way of thinking about it, the primary pass that I initially showed, you curl your wrist down, curl your hand down. I'm going to turn this way so Albert can see. I'm sorry, when I go here, here. When I start to open him up, he can even hold my hand. When I go in here, I'm just going to open this so you can see, Albert. Mm-hmm. This hand goes down. Okay. If it goes up, it's lasso. Okay. So you have to be really mindful of that. It's a great question, because that's, like I said, that's the vulnerability. That's what the bottom guy is going to look for. As soon as you do that, you're feeding them the lasso. So the battle is going to be making sure that your wrist and your hand is pointed in the right direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the sleeve grip that you're grabbing and switching to the other hand, how are you kind of getting him to let you switch it to your other hand?
Like everything we do in here, if I want to bring this in, I open it out.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to show the first technique. If he allows me to open it out, I sprawl and
Oh, nice.
see? So anytime you want that, if I want to bring his arm in, I create a little opposite reaction, because I expect him, when I do this, he pulls in. And then right here. This isn't, sometimes they hold on to that leg, but like I said, just start moving your hip. The key here is to finish, bring his knees up. The knees have to point up. That means he has no ability to laterally move his hip out. Anybody else? Any other questions? Don't be afraid to ask, trust me. Most of the time I believe when somebody asks a question, at least half the class learns something. So if you think you want to ask something but you're afraid to, don't be afraid. Even if he says any questions. Yes, sir.
By any chance when you commit your hips, you commit your hips on the ground, that he use the momentum to hug your neck, sweep the leg, and
That's why, yes. If I don't control his knees, if I keep his knees pointed, go ahead.
yeah, and he, at that moment, he hug your neck and keep going this way. With the left, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Because of think of the knees like the target. His knees that's the direction I have to be careful with. If he hugs my neck, I have to move my hip back. Now, when he goes to get up, see, he can't get up. Then we come back in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great question. Anybody else? Awesome. Let's go, guys. 1, 2, 3.